Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Amanda and I'm from Amanda Crochets, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to make the Lilac Dreams Baby Blanket. This baby blanket measures approximately 30 inches across by 35 inches long. It is a very simple and easy blanket, and you can always customize the colors to fit your needs. So let's begin making this adorable Lilac Dreams Baby Blanket. For today's tutorial, you're going to need two different colors. For the main part of your blanket, you're going to need Premier Anti-Pilling Everyday DK. And you're going to need 4 skeins of this first color. And this is 273 yards, 250 meters, 3.5 ounces or 100 grams. It's 100% anti-pilling acrylic. It's considered a number 3 lightweight yarn, and the recommended hook size is a US G6 or 4 millimeter. This is machine wash warm, tumble dry normal. And you're going to need 4 skeins of African Violet, which is this very pretty light purple color. And when you use the purple color, this is all that you are going to have left with your blanket if you're making the same size as I am. So 4 skeins of purple, and you're going to need 1 skein of white, and this is going to be for your border. So 1 skein of white, 4 skeins of the purple, and for your crochet hook, we're going to be using an H8 or 5 millimeter crochet hook. So grab your yarn, grab your hook, and let's begin today's tutorial. Okay, so for my baby blanket, I ended up making 130 chains. If you wanted to make a different size, you're just going to need to chain in a multiple of 2. So if you wanted to make your blanket smaller or bigger, just chain in a multiple of 2. For my small sample swatch today, I'm just going to be making a chain of 14. So after you have your slip knot, you're going to yarn over your hook and pull through that loop on your hook. That's 1 chain, 2, 3, 4, 5. Continue until you have a total of 130 chains or your multiple of 2. Okay, once you have your chain of 130 or your multiple of 2, we can begin row 1. For row 1, we're going to be working into the second chain from our hook, and we're going to be working a single crochet across the entire row. So that loop on your hook does not count. You're going to count 2 chains, so 1 and 2, and in that second chain, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and that is your single crochet. In the next chain, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Continue making 1 single crochet in each of the chains across. You should have one less single crochet than chain. So if you made 130 chains, you should have 129 single crochet stitches. Okay, once you finished your first row, we can begin row 2. So we're going to go ahead and chain 1 and turn. The chain 1 in this pattern does not count as a stitch. So we're going to be working into that very first stitch made, and we're going to make a single crochet. So ignore that chain 1, and then that very first stitch right here, go ahead and make a single crochet. In that same stitch, we're going to go ahead and make a double crochet. So to make a double crochet, yarn over your hook, insert your hook into that very first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And that is your double crochet. We're going to skip the next stitch, and we're going to start our repeat. So in the next stitch after that, we're going to make a single crochet and a double crochet into the same stitch. So skip this next stitch, and in the stitch after that, make a single crochet and a double crochet all into that same stitch. Now you're going to repeat this all the way across the width of your blanket. So skip the next stitch, and in the stitch after that, make a single crochet and a double crochet into that same stitch. Skip that next stitch, and in the stitch after that, make a single crochet and a double crochet into that same stitch. You're going to repeat this all the way across until you have 2 stitches remaining. When you have 2 stitches remaining, you're going to make a single crochet into the very last stitch. So as I have a small sample swatch, I'm just going to finish the row with you. So skip that next stitch, and in the stitch after that, make a single crochet and a double crochet. Skip that next stitch, and in the stitch after that, make a single crochet and a double crochet. You have 2 stitches remaining. You're going to skip the next stitch, and in that very last stitch, you're going to make a single crochet. And here's what your row is going to look like. So you're going to chain 1 and turn, and you're going to work in that very first stitch, and you're going to make a single crochet and a double crochet. You're going to skip that next stitch, which is going to be that double crochet from the previous row, and working into the next stitch after that, you're going to make a single crochet and a double crochet. So in each of these rows, you're going to skip the double crochet, and you're always going to be working into that single crochet stitch from the previous row. Single crochet and double crochet into that same stitch. Skip the next stitch, which again is that double crochet, and in the stitch after that, which is the single crochet, make a single crochet and a double crochet. And you're going to repeat that all the way across, skipping 1 stitch, which is the double crochet from the previous row, and you're going to be working in the single crochet from the previous row, making a single crochet and a double crochet in each of those stitches. Okay, so when you get to the end of your row, you're going to have 2 stitches remaining. You're going to skip that next stitch, and in that final stitch, you're going to make 1 single crochet. So when you look at your blanket, you're going to notice that your stitches are going to offset a little bit, and that's because we're working in the single crochet and we're skipping the double crochet. So in order to count your rows, you're going to count that first single crochet row right here. You're going to count this as your second row, and then you're going to count this as your third row. So for row 4 and beyond, you're just going to repeat row 3 over and over again until your desired height. I'm going to continue making my blanket, and then I will tell you how many rows that I ended up making, and then we will go ahead and move on to the border. So keep repeating row 3 over and over again until your desired height. I will show you one more time what the blanket looks like. So chain 1 and turn. In that very first stitch, make a single crochet and a double crochet. Skip that next stitch, and in the stitch after that, make a single crochet and a double crochet. Remember, we're working in the single crochet stitches from the previous row, and we're skipping the double crochet stitches. So continue doing that all across the row. When you get to the last 2 stitches, you're going to skip the second to last stitch, and in that very last stitch you're going to make a single crochet. So let me finish up my blanket and I will show you how to move on to the border. Okay, here's what your blanket is going to look like once you make more rows. My blanket ended up being 111 rows. You can always make your blanket a little bit smaller or a little bit longer if you would like. It's just up to your personal preference. So once you finish your 111th row, you're going to cut your yarn and leave a little bit of a tail, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through and tighten. So now we're going to be working on the border, so let me get my white color and let me change my background up a little bit so you're able to see the white color. Okay, so we're going to be working along this side of our blanket. So getting that white color, you're just going to insert it right into that corner. Leave a little bit of a tail, and you're just going to join with that new color. So working into the stitches at the end of each row, we're going to single crochet evenly down the side. Now you don't have to have an exact stitch count, you just want to make sure that your stitch placement is as even as possible. So making a single crochet along the side, you're just going to go into the row end stitches and make a single crochet as evenly as possible. And it might be a little bit difficult at first, but just take your time with it and make sure you just go into those row end stitches. So work 1 single crochet evenly down the side of your blanket, and then when we get to our first corner, I will show you how to work the first corner as well as the rest of the border round 1. Okay, so I worked evenly down the side of my blanket and I've approached my first corner. So my first corner, I'm just going to go ahead and make 3 single crochets all in that corner space. Okay, so you have 3 stitches in your corner. If you would like, I would mark your second corner stitch with a stitch marker, as we're going to be working into that stitch for the next round. And then when you turn your blanket, working along the bottom of your blanket, you're going to work 1 single crochet. When you get to the next corner, you're going to make 3 single crochets. When you work along the other side of your blanket, you're going to follow along the same way here, making a single crochet evenly down the side of your blanket. Make 3 single crochets in your third corner, and across the top of your blanket, make 1 single crochet across. When we get to our final corner, I will show you how to finish off the final corner, as well as move on to border round 2. Okay, so I'm coming up to the last corner, and with the last corner you're going to make 3 single crochets. You're going to find your very first single crochet, and you're going to go ahead and slip stitch in that very first single crochet stitch. So for border round 2, we're going to go ahead and chain 2, and we're not going to turn, we're going to be working in the same direction. So chain 2, and in the very first stitch we're going to make a double crochet. So that chain 2 does not count. In that very first stitch we're just going to make a double crochet. We're going to make a double crochet in each of the stitches around except for at the corners. At each corner we're going to work in the middle of the 3 single crochets from the previous round. So go ahead and make 1 single crochet all the way down until you get to your first corner. When we get to our first corner, I will show you how to make the corner as well as the rest of border round 2. Okay, so I'm coming over to my first corner and I have the 3 single crochet stitches right here. In that first stitch, you're going to go ahead and make a double crochet as normal. And then in that middle stitch right here, we're going to make 9 double crochets all in that same stitch. And it's okay that your corners might balloon out a little bit, but once we make more of the border, that will hide it a little bit. But in the next stitch, go ahead and make 9 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So this is what I mean a little bit with it ballooning out. As we make more rounds, it will make more sense after that. So for the remaining 3 sides of your blanket, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to make 1 double crochet in each stitch around. When you get to that middle stitch of the 3 single crochets in the corner from the round below or round before, you're just going to make 9 double crochets all in that same corner space. So do that for the remaining 3 sides of your blanket, and when we get to the very beginning we will join with the slip stitch and move on to border round 3. Okay, so I'm coming to the end of the round and I'm going to find that very first double crochet made, and I'm going to make a slip stitch to close the round. So here's what your corners are going to look like. Like I said, they're going to balloon out a little bit, but it'll make sense once we do the next couple of rounds. So for border round 3, we're going to go ahead and chain 2. We're not going to turn, we're going to be working in the same direction, and around the first stitch from the round below, we're going to make a front post double crochet. So in this very first stitch right here, we're not going to be working here. We're going to be working in this very first stitch. We're going to make a front post double crochet. So yarn over your hook, insert your hook around the post from right to left. Make sure that post is on top of your crochet hook. Yarn over, pull around that post, and then finish your double crochet as normal. Yarn over your hook, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And that is your front post double crochet. Now we're going to be working a back post double crochet around the next stitch. So find your next stitch, yarn over your hook, and again working from right to left, but this time you're going to go behind the post. You're going to lay your crochet hook on top of the post, so if you turn your work you could see the post is behind your crochet hook, and then yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. and that is your back post double crochet. So you're going to go ahead and alternate between a front post and back post double crochet around your entire blanket. You're not going to do anything special at the corners. You're just going to continue making a front post and back post around the entire blanket. So in this next stitch, make a front post double crochet. In the stitch after that, make a back post double crochet. Around the next post, make a front post double crochet, and then around the next post, make a back post double crochet. So just make sure that you're alternating between the front post and back post double crochets. When we get to our first corner, I'll work that first corner with you just so you understand how to do that. And then we'll continue with border round 3. Okay, so I'm approaching the first corner and we're just going to continue with the pattern, making a back post double crochet and front post double crochet. Just make sure you alternate between the two. You might have to pull your work apart a little bit just to see your 9 stitches in that corner space. But just take your time making the corners. And again, alternating between that front post and back post double crochets. Okay, so here's what your corner is going to look like, and as you can see, it kind of looks a little bit more uniform now. As you make the next couple of rows, you'll really see the corner form. But that's pretty much all there is to it for this blanket. And for border round 3 is you're just going to alternate between a front post and back post double crochet around the entire blanket. And then when we get to the beginning, we're just going to slip stitch together. So continue making your alternating back post and front post double crochets around your entire blanket, and then we will continue on to the next border round 4. Okay, so I'm over at the end of my round, and I'm going to find that very first stitch that I made, and I'm going to slip stitch together. So for border round 4 and 5, they're going to be the exact same. So you're just going to chain up 2, and you're just going to be working around the posts of the stitches from the row before, or the round before. So this very first stitch here, we made a front post double crochet. So we're just going to work a front post double crochet around that. The next stitch was the back post double crochet. So we're just going to work a back post double crochet around that stitch. And you're going to repeat this all the way around for border round 4 and 5. You're just going to make a front post double crochet around the front post double crochet and a back post double crochet around the back post double crochet from the previous round. So continue doing that for borders round 4 and 5. Then when you get to the end of border round 5, you're going to go ahead and just cut off your yarn and make a slip stitch, cut off your yarn, and fasten in your ends. Okay, so after round 4 of your border, you're going to go ahead and cut your yarn, leaving a little bit of a tail, and you're just going to slip stitch to close the round. After you cut your tail, I like to yarn over, pull through, and tighten. Next, we're going to go ahead and get our tapestry needle, and we're going to weave in our ends. And you're going to do this for each of your ends. Okay, so you're just going to go right in between the stitches to hide that tail end. I like to go in 3 different directions just to really make sure my tail end is nice and secure. Okay, so that's one direction, and then I'm going to go back in the opposite direction. And then I'm going to go back in one more direction just to really make sure my tail end is nice and hidden. Okay, and once you have that, you're just going to get your scissors and you're going to cut right next to the fabric, and then you're pretty much done. You're going to do that for the remainder of your tail ends. Again, here is your nice rounded corner with those 4 rounds of your border. If you did want to make a 5th round for the border, you will need 1 extra skein of white if you wanted to go a little bit bigger with your border. So thank you so much for joining me today on learning how to make the Lilac Dreams Baby Blanket. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. Please like, comment, and subscribe to see all future videos by me. And as always, happy crocheting! Bye!